special guest, and just like I said in our introduction earlier, she's just a very accomplished person, and I'm excited for her to bring her. Lori, just thank you for coming on here and sharing your what you're about to share with our listeners, the faithpreneurs. But before we get started, I want to ask you a question. I want to do something a little different from our previous episodes, and the question is simple as this: if you could have one superpower, what superpower would you have, and why?
Superpower. Um, you know, I I would actually, first thing that comes to my mind is I would love to be able to read minds.
Oh man, I'll be afraid to do that. But why?
I
Why is that?
know that's true. That could be good or bad. That could be good or bad. But for some reason, through my health coaching, I just am fascinated
Mhm.
by psychology and all of that. And I would just kind of, love to
Yeah,
delve into that more. Yeah, like you said, that could be good or bad.
yeah. The other day, I was watching TV with my wife, and she was just quietly watching. We watch baking shows together, and I just
Mhm.
thought to myself, I'm like, what if I could read her mind? What is she thinking right now? Because I drive her crazy at times. What is
Yeah,
she really thinking? Then I thought about it.
right,
I'm like, maybe I don't want to know
right,
because I drive her crazy.
right,
So
right. You
yeah,
know,
that
you know what? Why
go
that
on.
came to mind too. I
Yeah.
recently saw that it's an old movie. It's called What Women Want, and
Mm,
it's got Helen Hunt in it and Mel Gibson. If anyone remembers that,
mm.
it's really a cute movie. And he ends up being able to read women's minds, and he's in advertising and stuff. So it
Oh
was
wow.
really interesting.
It's
Yeah.
kind of it sounds familiar. Like there's another movie actually I watched recently. Is I don't know if you ever watched a show named Empire. My wife loves the show.
Mhm.
She got me into it. So the character that plays Cookie Lion, the actor that plays Cookie Lion, I mean, she's in this movie where she's like a sports manager, and she
Mhm.
reads the thoughts of men. And some of these thoughts, I'm like, oh, that's accurate. That's what men think,
Exactly. Exactly.
So it's crazy
Exactly.
stuff. But that's awesome, and I appreciate having you again on our show. We want to let's introduce you a little bit more to our listeners. Where are you from? Where do you currently live? Are you, and what is it that you do?
Yeah. Well, I was born and raised in Columbus, Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
and I have also lived in the Dayton, Ohio area for 4 years. I've lived in the Cleveland, Ohio area. Most people know where that is.
Mm-hmm.
5 years, and then I moved back to Columbus, so I'm here now. And it's really, we're the Buckeye State. We love our Ohio State Buckeyes, and
Shout out to them.
right, shout out. And what I do, I'm a certified health coach. I've been one since officially since 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also I just got a weight management specialist certification on top of that. And then in 2007, I graduated with a dietetic technician registered degree.
Wow. Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's a I seen I was on your website, and when I was checking out your website, for you faithpreneurs who are listening in, her website again is seedsofchangenutrition.com. When I was checking your website, I was just seeing all the accomplishments you have down there. And I'm like,
Oh,
wow, that's awesome. Congrats to you, honestly, because a lot of people don't really put that work that you've put into getting to where you at.
oh,
So
thank you.
no problem. So, and now with that, with the faithpreneurs, as they just heard, what is you do? My next question is my follow up question, might say, is gonna be, what got you into this? What was it that led you to step into the nutrition world?
The nutrition world. Um, Well, back in 2007, let's see, I've got an associate degree in nutrition. So
Hmm.
it actually, a 2-year program took me 3 years because I had small kids
Oh
at
wow.
the time. So there's a lot going on there. Um, but I'd always been interested in nutrition. I
Hmm.
don't know why. I've just always been interested in it. I just would gravitate to food labels, and always thought that the concept of how food works in your body and with your body or
Yeah.
against it or whatever would always fascinated me. So when my kids were in school full time, I was a stay-at-home mom, and when they were in school full time, I thought, I would love to do something for me.
Hmm.
and nutrition just seemed like a natural step. So I found out through some searching that there was a degree called a dietetic technician, so I
It sounds
started that.
complicated for me to say, to be honest.
Yeah, right. And to get registered, you have to, you pass a national exam and that kind
Yeah,
of thing. So yeah,
that must have been a really tough exam, I imagine. Because it's a lot of details that goes into this that people just don't really think of. I can imagine, right?
totally. Oh yeah, I studied for a long time for that.
Wow, wow.
Hmm.
So now you say you help people, on your page, what I'll see is that you help people with weight loss and all that stuff right there. And that's something I gotta admit it, faithpreneurs. I'm somebody who has struggled with that. Um, I read this one part in
Me
your
too.
page actually. If I read it out real quick, it says the diet mentality sets us up for failure because it fosters a temporary way of life that is not sustainable. Again, especially for the emotional eater, guilty as charged. Typically, once people lose their goal weight, they slowly go back to eating and living as they did before. And I'm gonna stop right there because that is so true. Someone like
Mm.
myself, when I first moved to New York, originally I was raised in Miami. Uh, I was a chunky kid, and then I got to
Mhm.
New York. I got into the mixed martial arts world, and I was very strict with what I was eating. I lost about 60 pounds in a very short amount of time. Very
Wow.
short amount
Yeah.
of time. I kept it, looked great. I was happy. I felt like another human being.
Right.
Car accident happened, and then life changes came around and I gained that and I'm at the heaviest I've ever been now and even
Hmm.
faster time. It's incredible. Like, let's talk a little bit about that. I feel like a lot of people on here are very stuck on that. I need to diet, I need to diet, I need to diet. And some of them lose that weight fast but finding themselves struggling or gaining it back. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so sorry you got in a car accident too. That's so, oh, glad you're okay.
Thank
You
you.
know? Yeah, totally. Well, now I have experience with this too because when I was a stay-at-home mom,
Mhm.
oh my goodness, I found myself grazing all day long, fixing them every single meal and snacks. And so, and
Yeah.
I'm in the kitchen a lot. And so I'm just found myself grazing all day. And, I wasn't going to the gym like I usually would because it's so much extra to take the kids with you and put them in daycare and everything. So I wasn't doing that. And I was gaining weight in my middle and I was feeling frumpy. So I wanted to lose weight quickly, just like everybody else does. So, and this is part of my backstory is because of that. So I understand the diet mentality. I wanted to lose weight quickly. So I put myself on this low carb diet, which
Mm.
is fine, but I didn't do it healthfully. I was drinking a lot of diet soda, and I thought, oh, because I try not to eat a lot of red meat. Well, I found this as an excuse to eat a lot of red meat.
Yeah.
So later, when I went to got my nutrition schooling, I realized I was eating a very high inflammatory diet.
Wow.
So I was not doing it in a healthy way. So
So you
that's the
said
other reason I wanted to
I'm
coach.
I'm so sorry. You said a high inflammatory diet.
Yes.
What is that? I wouldn't. Sound scary.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that would include, well, a lot of red meat, um, not as many, fruits and vegetables,
Hmm.
a lot of processed foods, um, and things like that. A lot of dairy can be inflammatory, corn,
Mm.
a lot of that kind of diet can cause inflammation in your body. And
Oh
that
wow.
triggers a lot of illness and disease and things like that.
Oh wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
now back to what you were saying. I'm sorry. I just needed to know a little bit more on that itself.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's super. Um, so yeah, so I did lose some weight, but boy, I paid a price because I would say after doing that for months and months, I came down with symptoms of, my eye got it's a little
Wow.
complicated what my eye did. But then my left side started getting numb and I thought, what is going on? And so
Wow.
after all this testing, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis,
Man.
which is an autoimmune condition, which inflammation can
Can
bring
kill.
that on if.
Yeah, as I was reading, when we were speaking about it, I have a friend actually who was diagnosed with that last year, and
Mhm.
when you brought it up, I was like, wow, that would be an interesting story because I know it's tough to deal with that, to live with that.
Yeah.
And as I got into the descriptions of it, it's pretty much, if from what I understand, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's something with the immune system attacking this like fluid that's around the spinal cord. It's something similar of that sorts, correct?
Yeah, it's called the
Yeah.
myelin sheath.
Yes, I think that's what it is. Correct.
Yeah, there's a myelin, it's called the myelin sheath, and it's
Mm,
wrapped around your nerves to
mm,
protect your nerves. And so with MS, it's attacking the protective cover of your nerves. And that's why when your nerves are exposed, all kinds of things happen.
man.
All
Yeah.
kinds of weird, strange things can happen. Everybody has it differently. It's all very
Yeah.
different for each person.
And I could imagine that alters the lifestyle of one person. I mean, finding out because it also like it does. I seen a report where somebody's balance it affected the way their movements and everything like that in itself. So like if you want, if you can speak a little bit of when you heard the news that you have MS and how that lifestyle first took that impact in your life.
So yeah. So when I got diagnosed, so I was living in Cleveland at the
Hmm.
time, and Cleveland, Ohio. I got the diagnosis, and I sat there. My husband at the time was with me, and the doctor was like, "Well, it is hard to diagnose this, but," and I was doing some research myself on the internet and all that,
Yeah.
and I kind of was expecting it. And he said basically, and mind you, this was in 2000, so this was what 20 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
So he was basically like, the doctor was like, there's four medications you can take or not. And I said, how does my diet affect this? And he said, oh, it doesn't matter. So just basically good luck, you
Wow.
know?
Not
And
that's not
so,
what you want to hear.
no, no. And so even, this is before I got my nutrition degree and all of that, way before. And I just knew inherently that I was not eating healthfully. I wasn't eating right. And so we're walking out to the car, and I said to him, I said, that's a bunch of BS. And I said the words though, because I was really mad. And the next day I thought, this is not happening to me. And I don't know where this came from because I'm not
Mm,
usually that feisty or whatever. And so anyway, I got a book the next day. I got a book out called The
yeah.
MS Diet by Dr. Swank.
Mhm.
I still have it today. And I followed it almost to a T because I was scared. And what was the one recommendation he said was no red meat for the first year,
Oh, wow. Okay, so you had to do a
right?
whole change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
But yes. So I was like, well, okay, I can do that really easily. And then also, gluten free is something people might want to consider. Um, but gluten was not a big deal back then.
Yeah.
Now I know a little bit more. But yeah, so I followed that to a T. People were praying for me. I didn't understand the power of prayer back then. So thank you, ladies who were praying for me back then. And I changed my diet. I did a 180, got off the diet soda, drank unsweet tea. Eventually, I got to like some coffee instead of Diet Coke in the morning.
Mhm.
And through other lifestyle changes, it got better. And then um, I found a new church and all kinds of things. And I got water baptized in August 2008.
Yeah.
And all glory to God, a doctor confirmed a month later that I was healed.
Wow, that's okay. So let's get to because we spoke we spoke a little bit on that, prior to the podcast, prior to the recording, just very briefly on.
Hmm.
So you were healed, and a month later you were healed. The doctor confirmed that you were here from MS, but you did mention prior something that was like, whoa. When you got the water baptism, was it at that moment you felt like, wow, healing is taking place, or was it gradually after until the moment the doctor said you're clear?
Yeah. Okay. So by that time, I didn't have any symptoms for a couple years.
Hmm.
Thank goodness. Like I had two. we kind of call them, I don't know if you call them attacks now. I don't know what you call them now, but I had numbness, numbness in my eye,
Yeah.
which only lasted about a week or so. So I was actually feeling really good.
Hmm.
So I get water baptized because I just felt the time in my life, it was just a new life for me.
Yes.
And I didn't feel any different whatsoever. No different.
Mm. Hmm.
And then I went to this, my doctor was holistic. He was an MD, but he also did this holistic biofeedback test. And oh, I forgot to say this. This is really important, you guys. So go back to 2000, 2001. I'm standing in the laundry room. This is
Hmm.
real important. And I was mad. And I said, basically, this is not happening to me. And I said out loud, I'm going to baffle the doctors one day. And I
Wow.
think I said it just like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, guys, I don't know where this came from. It was the Holy Spirit. I don't know. But 8 years later, so I get my water baptism, August 2008. I see my doctor in September. I think it was just like a regular follow up. He does the biofeedback test, and he's got, he always would sit there and have all the papers on his lap. And he said, "What have you been doing?" And I said, "What do you mean? Is that a good thing or bad thing?" Because I was feeling good, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said, "Everything we've been working on, like Lyme disease, some Lyme stuff and whatever," he said, "it's all gone."
Wow. All of it.
Yeah. And I said, "What
Jeez.
about those MS readings? What about that?" And he says, "It's all gone.
Oh
There's
man.
nothing there."
Praise God. Wow.
Praise God.
That
I
is
said,
wow.
"What?" And so at the time,
Yeah.
I forgot about the baptism, or I didn't connect it while I think I was in such shock
Hmm.
that I didn't think. But halfway home, it hit me, and I said, "Oh my gosh." And I just started crying.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine. I can. I can't imagine the amount of emotion you must have felt at that very moment. Just hearing
No,
good news like that, like that's just different. You get baptized, you think not too long after you're getting cleared of everything. Like, wow, praise God, and it's encouraging.
praise God.
Faithpreneurs, you see, life without God, there's nothing that God can't do. He
That's
could heal
right.
you through anything. He could take you through anything. Her testimony, as she just shared, that this is something that really, really like understand. I want you guys to really understand. I want you guys to take the time to really listen to this and know that these things apply to your life as well. If you're
Yes.
somebody who's listening to this, who's struggling financially, struggling with your business, struggling with your health, struggling in any avenue of your life, it's always going to be pivotal, and it's always going to be the most important thing to have God in the center of it. Pray to God and always give that to God. Have the faith. I know it can be difficult. Somebody with an atheist background like myself, I tell you, without God, life is not. It's not fun. It is not good. But with God, as she is sharing her testimony, God can heal, God will
Mhm.
revive, God will increase, and God will build. But that is so awesome. So faithpreneurs, please take that note there. So now you were healed. Now during this time when you were healed from MS and all that stuff, were you in business, or was it after that inspired for you to get into business?
Yeah, that was, gosh, when was that? Was 2008.
Hmm.
No, I was working.
Okay.
That I was not doing that yet. Um, I didn't start well, I worked, this is cool though. I worked for an organic food manufacturer
Okay.
at the time. So
Yeah.
that really plays into my coaching as well, because
You've had the experiences with them.
organic is a real thing. I know some people don't believe it, but I'm telling you, I will
Yeah.
just tell you right now that the level of certification and the all the records you have to keep, it is a real thing.
Really.
It's a
Okay.
real thing. And so I believe in that a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was working for them in customer service, and um I thought, people from work, a couple people kept saying, "Lori, you should be a counselor or something." And I thought, "Oh, that just sounds wonderful." I love people. I love to hear their stories.
Yeah.
I really love seeing people succeed and being healthy and doing well. And so, um, what happened there, customer service is tough. And I was there for 11 years and
Man.
it was tough, but it was great, but it was also hard just doing it that long. So it was probably 2015, early that year. I am flying home from a business trip from
Mm.
Phoenix back to Columbus, Ohio, a direct flight. And I just heard God say, just dream. Like, what is your
Oh my,
right? I got
so good.
permission to dream.
That is so good.
Like, he was like, what is your dream job?
Yeah.
I said, what? So I was with a coworker, but I was next to the window, which is my favorite. So I'm looking out, at the clouds. I'm on top of the, earth and looking out, and I just started firing. I just started writing, writing, writing. And I remember my coworker's like, "Gosh, Lori, what are you doing?" I said, "I am writing." I was just kidding. We had a lot of fun together. So I was like, "Oh, I can dream about this." So I just started writing things down and um, praying about it a lot after that. Coaching,
Yeah.
health coaching really just came about. So I already had a nutrition degree, but on top of that, the following year, I got an official health coaching certification because I didn't know how to exactly do that.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's awesome because again, if you guys, Faithpreneurs, if you check out her website, you go under the About Us section, you'll see all the certifications. You'll see, you know, how accomplished she is and how much you can really see how committed she has been to this her business and what she does. And I love it. I really, really genuinely love this, and I thank you for that because when you said dream, that it resonated with me. It resonated with me so much right now. So last
Yeah.
night, I'm gonna share this on my podcast. Last night, I was laying in my bed and whatnot, and I'm thinking the Faithpreneur podcast. Reached out to a couple influential people, and pushing out my hopes. I'm very optimistic. Say, hey, let's see, maybe we can get them on the show. They weren't gonna come on the show yet, but they gave me some advice, and what I took in between and all of that was dream. Dream and be consistent.
Yes.
And it's such a different. It makes such a difference in whenever you approach something with a dreamer's mentality, with actions behind the dreamer's mentality.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. And I think that dream, and your business is going to evolve
Yeah.
as you go. So I feel like, let's see, officially started in 2015. So it's 5 years ago. And, God's evolving this even deeper,
Yeah.
helping people in such a deeper way than when I first started.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like he keeps saying, well, what do you feel? I think he and I are getting to the point where he's allowing me to, we're co-creators
Mm-hmm.
with him, and he's kind of saying, well, what do you want?
Hmm.
Oh, I'm like,
Come on. Come on.
awesome.
Yeah.
So I've been doing a lot of
Wow.
journaling. Let's put it that way. I'm like, really? Okay, well, let me write it down.
Wow, that's so good. Come on, Faithpreneurs. You guys hear it right here. You guys hear this. I hope you guys are writing this down and not take that mental note and seal it there because wow, that is so good.
It's fun.
So I want to take a couple of steps back. Now, you're in this industry. You were healed with MS, and you know you have a focus on helping people weight loss and keeping that lifestyle because it's a lifestyle to keep that weight off. It's very difficult.
Hmm.
Now, one thing I've realized, when I gained weight, I cut a lot of weight, and I said this in a prior podcast of mine as well. Um, I found that when I lost all this weight, it was such an improvement, not only in my health, but there was like less physical pain, there was mental clarity, confidence, everything just turned around. I was like, who is this man? I do not recognize this man right now. It
Right.
was a different
Yeah.
person. So let's touch up on that. Like for those people who are, let's talk about a little bit of the benefits of cutting weight and why a lifestyle is really important in maintaining a weight loss, lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for all the things you said,
Hmm.
um, my goodness, yeah, your joints are just under more strain, the more weight we have on them. So
Mm,
usually, pain goes away. Um, you're, when we are, I was talking to someone. She has a business that has non-toxic products.
okay.
When we lose weight, uh, one of the reasons I think we get some mental clarity as well is when we have a lot of toxins in our body. Um, Fat cells like to encapsulate them
Mm,
to protect our bodies.
yeah.
And so when you start detoxing and losing weight, you're getting rid of a lot of toxins as well. Drink a lot of water. But I think that's also what gives you more mental clarity.
Yeah.
And you're just eating better usually too.
Yeah.
Um, the benefits are just, I think, endless.
Yeah.
And don't you just feel, um, yeah, your confidence goes up. You just carry yourself differently. I think did you also feel like you related to people differently?
You know what? I did.
Or,
I think that came with the confidence. That came because you speak different when you're more confident. And I
yeah,
genuinely believe that. I was a whole another human being. I
yeah,
saw myself becoming more socially active, more
yeah.
around groups of people and all that. And I guess
Hmm.
maybe that's again comes down to confidence and whatnot. And that was
Hmm.
incredible in itself. I loved it. So
Yeah,
I have a question for you now. Now thinking about all this, I'm like, okay, there's a lot of people locked in right now here in New York, especially. We're still looking like we're not going nowhere anytime soon. And mental health has become an issue that's growing. Now, with that, a lot of these people, like myself, I'm a pretty happy guy, but sometimes there's that emotional eating part and that's like, oh
sure.
my gosh. And a lot of people deal with that. What would you recommend to somebody, if that's okay with you, who wants to start considering, hey, I need to change my diet because I'm gaining weight right now and it's not healthy and I want a lifestyle. I don't want to temporarily lose it. I want a
Yeah,
lifestyle. Just a simple type.
yeah. I think I actually have a 5-day challenge going on right now. If
Oh,
anyone,
perfect.
well, this probably won't be posted for a while, but
No, tell us
now that I
about it.
think, yeah. So I'm doing a 5-day challenge for
Yeah.
that reason. Um, I just really felt led. It's kind of a pop-up one. I didn't really
Hmm.
plan it too far ahead, but I just felt like I wanted to help people who were stuck in that cycle.
Hmm.
First of all, today was about shifting our mindsets.
Mm.
And, how are we using our time right now? Um, we can use it to start learning new habits, to get ourselves back on track with healthy eating so that when we
Absolutely.
are kind of back to our new normal, we now have the right mindset to just go for it and go back to work and um, have these empowering habits,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I think first is there's a change in mindset because if you don't have that, everything else kind of flows from that.
Yeah.
But also I think the big thing too is what are your triggers?
I think that's a really good one right there. Yeah,
What are your
definitely.
triggers? And then, like, I guess identifying your triggers and then having a plan of action.
Wow, it's crazy because towards the end of the podcast, we typically like to ask 2 to 3 life conquering tips to help our faithpreneurs, conquer the mountains of their lives. You shared two very powerful ones, and the trigger
Yes.
one is it's amazing. So I love counseling. I do counseling. I get counseled, and I love it because it's always good to have somebody to speak to. And my counselor, she, when I tell her about certain things I deal with, like I deal with PTSD, and there's certain things that trigger me to have negative reactions and
Yes.
different avenues. So when she was speaking to me about discovering your triggers and then how to approach them for now or how to handle them, it made such a huge difference. It made
Right.
such a huge difference. And
Mhm.
faithpreneurs, if you're listening on triggers, I mean, i cannot I cannot man, I can't captivate the power, how powerful that is in just words, because it would transform your life when you identify those things,
Yes.
and then you learn how to work with them, or you learn how to
Exactly.
overcome them and whatnot, and it'll make a huge difference. So with that being said, we have a lot of people listening in who we're dealing with that, and that's things that are going to help them. So let's say our listeners right now are interested. They're like, hey, Lori, you know what? You said something that really stuck with me. I want to talk to you more. I want to get more of your services to help me overcome what I'm dealing with and become healthy. My nutrition right. How can they go about that? Or is there any way in particular that they need to go about that in order to get your services?
Yeah, yeah, if they want to check out my website,
Mm-hmm.
seedsofchangenutrition.com. I do have a contact us page, and you can always send me a message there. Or the email I check, um, there's also a seedsofchangenutrition@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
They can contact me there as well. And I also have a Facebook and an Instagram. They could always message me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seeds of Change Nutrition.
You guys definitely could check out her website. Her website is awesome. I love it.
Oh, good.
Um,
Well, thank you so much. I built that myself,
oh, you did?
and I really,
Oh,
and
let me take a
I
minute and
think
look at
in
it.
the next month,
Yeah,
someone is actually upgrading it for me. So,
nice. It's a nice website. It's very simple
oh,
but
thank
nice. It's kind of like it's funny because the website I had was for the Faithpreneur podcast was too noisy. Too much going on, and I simple thought came to me. Sometimes less is more.
yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
I love that because I'm like, it's easier to go through. It's very user friendly. So I personally love it. So kudos to
Oh,
that. Good job.
thank you, thank you. I thought I'm not a web designer. I'm in nutrition, but I'm really proud of my. I mean, I know it could be better, but that's not my thing. So,
So,
thank you so much.
no problem. So I want to ask you a couple more questions before we start wrapping up. And one of them being, what advice would you give somebody who, let's say, wants to start their own business in your field and don't know how to go about it, don't know where to start? What is the piece of advice you will give them to go
Wow. My goodness. Let's see. I know for me, it's dreaming,
with?
right?
Yeah.
I mean, just let sit with God. Just sit with God, and He wants to be your co-creator. He wants to do it with you. So that's I would say dream. The first thing I did is I got my name from the state of
Hmm.
I registered with the state of Ohio, and then I would say, gosh, through all the coaching and experience that I've gotten, know who your audience is. If you
Mm.
don't
Oh man.
understand, if you, this has been a process. If
Wow.
you don't know who, your avatar, your ideal client, it's huge.
Wow, that it makes such a difference. That's something I'm learning even in a podcast. It's like, me originally, I'm like, I want the podcast to be for everyone and go everywhere. But
Yes.
the problem with that is it's not going to catch everyone and everywhere. Who's my
Right.
target people? And I'm like faithpreneurs. You know,
Yeah,
as simple as that. Faithpreneurs, and I've seen so much
exactly.
more of a positive note out there. So you guys heard it. If you're looking to get started, or you're getting started in this industry, one, you want to dream. Don't be afraid to dream. No dream is too big, and
It's
put
so
action
fun.
behind them. Exactly. Yeah, I love to dream. My wife goes crazy though. She goes on one day, you want to just put out a podcast. Next day, you want a big conference with thousands of people. I'm like, why not? you know?
I know I have to reel myself in too.
Yeah. So dream, put goals behind those dreams. And then also, you know, know your audience. That is
Yes.
such an important part of it. When you know your audience, you're gonna have more of a success. And actually, in fact, I've heard this story from another podcast, and I think I shared it in one of my podcasts as well. I love it because it sets a good example. This woman, she's a musician. She plays for a band, a metal band she started. And rock music is not as popular, at least it doesn't seem as popular as it was before.
Mhm.
So her target audience is much smaller than you'll have with hip hop and her particular genre in particular. So what she said she did was this: she stopped putting out music just to put out music. She
Yes.
found the people who would love her music, the people who like that style of music, and started giving them content. And what happened was there was such a positive effect in that people were requesting more. Now she tours and makes six-figure income just off her music alone that she loves to do because she targeted the right people. So
Exactly.
that's such an important part. And Lord, I thank you so much for that. So I want to finalize with one more question. This podcast is gonna be all. It's gonna be amazing. I can't wait till it airs.
Oh,
Um, let's say you run across a younger version of yourself, or you find somebody else like you just told our faithpreneurs who want to get started in the business. What's one piece of advice you would have given yourself if you would have came across yourself again?
oh my goodness. The biggest thing I would have said is don't, um, no fear.
Mm,
No fear. If you know that you are called to do something, just go for it.
come on.
No fear.
Yeah.
I was very, very timid and fearful. And thank goodness that God is a God of second chances.
Let's go.
Oh my goodness.
That's so
Yes.
good.
Yes.
Imagine if God wasn't a God of second chance. I think all of us would be doomed. I know me.
Right.
I think God he's I think God he's second, third, fourth, fifth chances because
Exactly.
jeez,
And it gives knowing that about him
yeah.
gives you hope.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. A lot of people have this, negative notion that God is this dictator or this, controlling or set of rules and all this. And yeah, there are. I will say there are rules, but those rules are for your own safety or for your own well-being. It's nothing that's gonna hinder you. It's nothing that's gonna deprive you from the things that you know, the good things in your life. You know,
Exactly.
and yeah, so let's get away from that mentality, guys. If you guys are on here and if you're not a Christian, that's perfectly fine because God still loves you. And I want to encourage you to seek the Lord. Because the
Yeah.
things that will come in your life, just like Lori experienced,
Oh
just like she
yeah.
experienced.
And this is we're going from glory to glory this year. I just feel it in my
Come on.
bones. I am, my desire now is I've started a book. I don't know when I'm going to get done with that, but I've started a book and I'm also going to be speaking. And so
Oh, cool.
there
Wow.
are new things on the horizon and I'm going to really need God for
Amen.
that.
Amen. And we all gonna have you in our prayers for it. Me and my wife are gonna have you in our prayers for it.
Oh,
And
thank you.
the Faithpreneur, we're not just a podcast. We genuinely believe that as the faith family, we should all support each other in any way possible.
Yeah.
So you have our full support in any way we can support you. So
Oh,
the last thing, for our listeners who are here, where can you did say how they can approach you, but what's your email they can reach out, or what's the website again, and what's your social media, what's your users, so they could just
yeah, yeah,
connect
that's
with you.
great.
Thanks.
Website is seedsofchangenutrition.com.
Mhm.
And then that same name, I'm on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
Yep. And I do have a Facebook group that I just absolutely love. It's called Powerful You
Mm,
Emotional Eating Support.
wow, that's
So if
different.
you
That's
want
awesome.
to search that on Facebook.
I'll be I'll be on the right after here. That's
Yeah, and
awesome.
that's where I'm doing this 5-day challenge and some other things. So
So
it's
those
fun.
five-day challenge. I know we were gonna wrap up, but that's actually you just reminded me that caused some interest. That 5-day challenge. That's something new. Is that something you do pretty often for our for our listeners who are interested?
I haven't done it in a while. I don't know. I think I got busy with other things and I thought, wow, we really need it right now.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's,
that's
we're
awesome.
going on week 7, I think, here. And I thought, my goodness,
Yeah, yeah, it's
this,
tough.
yes, yes.
But that's
It's,
awesome. So I appreciate you so much again for coming onto our show. Faithpreneurs, you heard it yourself from Lori. She has some amazing advice, amazing tips here. If you didn't catch everything, I want to recommend you to check it out again. I also want to recommend everybody who's listening in, like and share the content here. The
oh, thank
content
you.
here is just not, it's not just for us. This content could really help change the lives of other people you least expect. So just with a
Yeah,
click of a button, just with a simple share, never know who you're going to reach, who we're going to reach with
yeah,
just a share. So thanks
that'd be
again,
great.
and God bless you guys.